Would you look at that? Making me chicken burgers. Yes, they. So, hello everybody. Thought I'd make this quick message for you with a common theme and a common struggle and challenge I am finding recently from a lot of you guys that have been reaching out to me. It may resonate with you. I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but I come across this problem myself personally, and it's a very pervasive kind of struggle and challenge I see with a lot of my members and clients who I speak to on a personal one-to-one basis about is the mindless eating at nighttime. Okay, so it's very common. It's not something that you should be ashamed about. It's not something that you can beat with willpower. And it's definitely not something that is going to fix itself if you try and avoid it, because it is an inevitable outcome that will happen 7 days a week regardless. So the number one, obviously, concern a lot of you guys have is, how do I stop? As soon as I come in at night and I put the kids to bed, or if you don't have kids, but the issue is the same, and you sit down and you're finished your work day, you feel the need to, let all your kind of inhibitions and responsibilities kind of run away from your shoulders, and then you feel the need to kind of dig into food. Now, this answer is different and a different solution to anyone who is training with me, and it boils down to a hunger issue. Okay, if at the end of the day you're absolutely starving and a skinless, plain, boring chicken breast actually looks delicious to you, then we can genuinely say, yes, you are actually starving, and your core issue is how you start the day, what you're having for breakfast, what you're having for dinner, what you're having for lunch, and all your meals that lead up to evening time. If you genuinely are starving and you are paying no attention to how you're eating, then yes, that would be a different solution for you guys. But for you guys listening to me for this video, this isn't a hunger issue. This is for people who genuinely know their food is actually, it's on point. You're looking at your protein, you're getting enough fruit and veg, you're having a serving of carbohydrates at each of your meals, you have enough water, but at the end of the day, it's a habitual thing where you're sitting down on the couch and you feel that emotional, behavioral urge, which is kind of triggered in your brain because you sit down and the television is on. The television and your environment is encouraging this behavior where you feel the need to eat something while watching it, okay? So I think you can all agree, every time you sit your butt down on the couch, myself included, you feel as though it's missing something. You have to eat something while watching Netflix, for example. So, and I know this is true because everyone says it's an issue for themselves when this happens, okay? So what I would suggest is, and these things may seem a little bit cheesy, or, well, I kind of knew about that, or I already knew that. Well, if that was the case, then why aren't you doing it? So what I would suggest is, if you feel as though you can't beat this with willpower and it is a pervasive issue, and you feel as though the food is actually, you're actually controlling that really well, and that's actually genuinely not hunger, but it really is an emotional response to the end of the day where you feel, I deserve this, I need to sit down and I'm just going to snack and nibble and eat all of these treats because I feel as though this is the best way I can have my own personal time, and I can relax. Okay, I get that, totally get that, but ask yourself, is this actually serving me? Is this actually genuinely making me feel better? Do I feel great afterwards? Is it actually giving me more energy that I need? Is it serving me from a health point of view? Is it serving me from a body composition point of view? Probably not. Now, that's not to say you can't eat the things that you enjoy, and it's okay to enjoy yourself eating food. I love struggle, and I love obviously eating occasions and eating food and stuff like that. But in this situation, your environment is purely dictating this kind of mindless eating at nighttime. So if it's an emotional response and you're going through a very stressful time, or stressful periods or peaks and dips during the week with regards to your environment, your work environment, family, friends, relationships, any of that kind of stuff, this will not disappear by itself. So the first thing I would address is, don't have all this stuff available to you in your kitchen. Because if you have the Chocky bars, the family pack of chocolate bars, the crisps, the cakes, everything, and you're somebody who's prone to going over to that stuff and having it, then you're more than likely going to eat it and eat it all. And if you've no self-control, then generally what's going to happen is you're going to eat most of it to a point where, well, I've started the first one and I've had the second one, so I might as well have the rest of the pack. Okay, that may not be everyone, but just some people out there. So that would be my first tip, is just to remove that stuff from your environment. It does kind of make sense, right? Replace it with something else. What is quite good in the moment is having your quick access. I know this sounds silly, but like fruit. So like apples, bananas, frozen berries, things of that nature. Having that there instead of the treats is a very kind of handy way to fill you up with not lots of fibre. And it's very hard to overeat that stuff or go on a binge with fruit. I guarantee you, when you listen to yourself and you have that, it kind of eliminates that kind of overwhelming urge to I can't stop and I need to keep eating these things. Okay. Second point, remove yourself from the environment. The environment in which this kind of self-sabotaging kind of behavior is happening is the very problem you are experiencing. So the solution to this problem is not sit down and watch the telly. Duh, I knew that. But trust me, if that's where it's happening, then why would you continue to be in that environment where you are enabling this behavior and this pattern to continue? Because that's really down to you at the end of the day. So, very basic examples would be replace the television with something else. Why not read a book? Why not listen to a podcast in a comfy area that's not the television room? Maybe your office or something, I don't know. And maybe like drink a herbal tea with that and listen to it and play some nice music or something like that. Something that takes you away from the distraction of watching television will take you away from the environment of feeling the need to snack and to eat. So I think we can agree so far those two key issues and problems are obviously the television, sitting down, watching the television and having access to all of that delicious treats there is kind of fueling this behavioral pattern to continue. Would that make sense? So maybe going for a walk after you've had your dinner, or going for a walk in replacement of sitting down for the rest of the evening and just watching the telly. Why? Because getting outside in fresh air is key to changing your mental state. And if you feel stressed and you feel exhausted, and the first thing you do after a long work day, or if you're working from home from a computer screen and you just kind of shift over to the telly room and sit down, isn't that kind of where it's going to start? And once you start, you can't stop. And once you pop, you can't stop. So it would make sense to not sit down and watch the screen, which is just only going to entice and fuel the eating, which again is not going to be a hunger thing. It's just going to be an emotional and stressed response. So the best thing that most people tend to do is comfort themselves with food. But why do something that isn't going to serve you when you can actually give your body some self-love and listen to the triggers in your body? So if you are stressed, if you are worried about something, if you've had a shitty day, if you had an argument, if you had all these deadlines and pressure on you, listen to your body and think, I need to get outside, I need to get away from this environment, I need to go outside for a walk. I know it's getting darker, but maybe get your partner to join with you, or maybe to go with a friend or a group of friends to go for a walk, or your kids or something like that. Even it's just 20 minutes, it's not that long, but before you know it, you're going to start to feel far better because your headspace can deal with that situation. You're removing yourself from the environment. Does that make sense? The worst thing we can all agree with watching this video is if you choose to stay in that environment and choose to watch the telly and choose to have all the treats there, then that's going to keep happening because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So that's just my 2 cents on the mindless eating when it's not actually directly caused by, poor, scattered, chaotic eating over the day, and you genuinely are starving at the end of the evening, which is leading you to binging. That's a different solution. But if, your food is on the improvement side of things and you have looked at all of those key areas of protein and carbs and making sure they're all balanced across the meals with enough fruit and veg and enough water, then it is your environment and what you're enabling to be allowed in your environment that's continuing this behavior. So don't be surprised by the outcomes each week, by your continued kind of default patterns if you choose to keep repeating the same kind of routines every single evening. Does that make sense? And this is a key thing for a lot of ladies, because the best transformations I've seen are the people who make conscious and unconscious efforts to change their environment and to change their behavior and to change their decision making, because that is key for a transformational process, not just for a body transformation, but for a mental transformation too as well. So hopefully that resonates with you. For a lot of people that may seem obvious, but for a lot of people it might not, because those small little kind of discrepancies and changes in how you reframe these situations will dictate a dramatic change in the long scheme of things. So, if you don't look after this thing in between your two ears, it will look after you. And if you allow that to look after you, you're going to be on the wrong side of the fence. Right? Does that make sense? So that's enough of me babbling. I think my chicken burgers are burnt to one side. I actually like when they're like that. But do me a favor, give me a thumbs up emoji at the end of this. Please incorporate those new changes, because they will help you. And if you are, I suppose, somebody who has been automatically defaulted into this way of eating because of your environment and your wind down routine at the end of the day, please give these changes some insight and implementation, and you will be surprised if you could do that over the next 30 days, over the next 60 days, for the next 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Your nighttime routine will change, and all of those bad habits will be completely eliminated.